Hey there, I'm Plus Frames, and welcome to the 6th episode of a Mortal Kombat podcast, which is an unofficial podcast for the MK fanatic. I hope everything's going well with you. I actually think I'm kind of coming down with a cold, so I hope I sound okay for this episode, but I really just wanted to record it and get it out there. I know I said in my last episode that I wasn't going to record a new episode until after the community reveal, but honestly, I've witnessed some real toxicity on Twitter recently, and I just want to do a quick PSA about it. However, the last 24 hours or so have been real exciting. We've gotten some official news from NRS and Ed Boon himself, so I'd like to discuss that quickly. Now, the mere act of discussing the news and speculating and stuff like that in combination with my PSA may kind of contradict each other, but I'm hoping that you'll be able to differentiate what I'm talking about and just kind of hear me out. So the first piece of news is 2 days ago, NRS released a new full-body render of Shao Kahn. In this render, he's got, the dragon-like features that we saw in the Game Awards reveal. He's clutching his hammer, and he's standing at some sort of a podium, and many people have speculated that this is actually kind of an in-game screenshot of where you would have Shao Kahn to adjust his skins or his gear or whatever. Now, what jumped out the most to me is his dragon-like features, because they are a lot more clearly visible and obvious in this image than we saw in the game reveal trailer. In the game reveal trailer, we could only really see his left hand and arm, but in this, it's clear that this dragon kind of influence is influencing his arms, his hands, his legs, his toes, even kind of his chest a little bit. And it's led to some cool theories as to why this may be. There's obviously the theory that Onaga is kind of fusing with him. I've discussed about this before. I also read some theories lately about how, at the end of MK9, the Elder Gods kind of attacked him with these orange dragon-like aura energy kind of things, and that's what apparently killed him. Maybe it didn't actually kill him and he kind of fused his power with them. That idea also got me thinking that maybe this female time-bending character, who seems to be an elder god to me, if she would use these dragon things herself as part of her weaponry or her just power set altogether, and she actually wants Shao Kahn to come back to kind of reverse the timeline, and she uses those to kind of rejuvenate him, and for whatever reason that influences his appearance. Now, there's another theory that I saw from a Tabmock 99 video explaining that, Shao Kahn is half demon, and, when he would take off his mask in the games, he would have horns and stuff. So maybe him being in the Netherrealm for the last 25 years has kind of influenced and made this more evil demonic side of him kind of pop out more. And that's a very good possible theory as well. At this point, I don't think we're really going to know until the community reveal next week, but I have fun speculating, as I'm sure you know by now. Either way, he just looks really powerful, and I've mentioned this before, but despite him being a pre-order bonus, I do suspect that he'll be a pretty integral part to the storyline of MK11. I don't think he'll be the main villain, but I do think he'll be one of the more notable ones. So after that image was released, yesterday NRS released another full-body render, but this one is of Dark Raiden, who is again standing at the same podium-like place, reinforcing that this is likely the in-game area where you choose your skins and gear. The real interesting thing with this image to me is that Raiden is standing there with his bow. That's real interesting to me because it seems odd to me that he would be standing in this area with his bow if it wasn't part of his kind of moveset, and maybe even, I may be wrong, and I'm just speculating, but maybe even a move stance like we saw in MK Deception and, some of those 3D games. I originally was wondering if it was just part of his normal moveset, kind of like how Ninjutsu Scorpion pulls out his swords just by doing a normal attack. I thought that was kind of what was happening with Raiden, but seeing them have it at this screen makes it seem that it's more special than that, and I actually wouldn't be surprised if the whole roster of MK11 had weapons and they played a prominent role in their gameplay. And also the reason why I think it's so prominent is because you can actually change it in this, skin gear selection screen. Now, I don't think you can change his weapon completely. I don't think you can change him from having a staff to nunchucks. But I think you can give him a different staff that would work exactly the same way. It just looks a little bit different aesthetically, because I'm sure there will be different skins and you can make Raiden look drastically different from how he does in this render. So it would make sense that you could change his staff accordingly. And then to top off the news cycle, just hours ago, actually, just this afternoon, Ed Boon released the official game cover art for MK11, which, if you haven't seen it already, is the same art that was part of that Ronda Rousey email leak that I completely discredited in episode 4. So I guess I have to apologize to you. I definitely got that wrong. But at the same time, I am kind of happy that that is confirmed. To be honest, I didn't really like the supposed cover images when I first saw them as part of that leak, but now that I can see it in a higher resolution, it's definitely growing on me. As far as I can remember, it is the brightest and most colorful cover I have ever seen on an MK game, and I kind of hope that that means that MK11 will be bright and colorful as well, because as you may recall, that was a complaint I had about MKX. It just seemed really dark and bland. Don't get me wrong, I love the graphics, I love the art style, but if I had one thing I would change with the general art style, it would have been to make it a little bit more brighter and colorful. But anyway, since this cover art is now legit and confirmed by Boon, actually twice, because someone said, well, it's Boon, so we don't know, and then he responded and said, no, this is real. It's safe to assume that the rest of the email leak is true as well. Now, there was nothing too groundbreaking in it if you don't know about it. Ronda Rousey is doing the voice work for Sonya, and if she's doing the voice work for Sonya, she will likely be a playable character in MK11. The female timebender's name is Chronica. There is another new character named Geras. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but apparently we're going to see their gameplay footage on the 17th. And finally, it seems like we get some moves or mechanics that are known as crushing blows or supers. I'm assuming the supers take place of the X-rays, and really they could be the X-rays themselves. They just named it as supers in this email, but I think that they may actually be more like the supers we saw in Injustice 2, more kind of cinematic things and not necessarily breaking your spine, because I think a lot of people thought it was a little bit stupid that someone would basically get paralyzed and then just pop up and continue to fight like normal. So maybe they're just replacing that altogether with more normal, super-like animations. The crushing blows, though, I have no idea what these things could be. I know that MKX sometimes had some funny trading instances, and I'm wondering if maybe that's to correct that, but it could be something more cinematic. It could be something more like a crush counter in Street Fighter V. I've seen that mentioned by other people, someone on Test Your Might. And while I know a lot of people weren't too fond of Street Fighter's crush counters, I actually think a lot of the complaint was how they were implemented. I actually didn't mind the mechanic in theory, but how they were like some of the safest moves, and people would just sit there spamming them because they weren't also that easy to punish. That was, I think, that was the concern I had anyway. So I wouldn't really be mad if they were back. I actually think it added a fun element to the neutral. But at the same time, since MK11 will likely have the same button layout as 9 and 10, where there's just forward and back punches, there's no light, medium, and hard. I don't know if it's necessarily going to be like that. People are speculating that that blow that Raiden did to Scorpion in the trailer, where he used the staff and basically like cracked it across his head, if that could be a crushing blow, and maybe that's the case, and maybe crushing blows will only be part of your kind of weapon variation. Who knows? We're really just going to have to see. I'm sure this will all get answered in a week from now. And now the last part of the Ronda Rousey email leak I want to talk about is that apparently on the 17th, NRS is going to reveal a portion of the story. I think it will be, the prologue, like the first 10, 15 minutes of it or whatever. And the reason for doing this is to kind of introduce us to the story, get us hyped for it, and kind of introduce us to this Chronica character. Now, the way that they describe this Chronica character in this email, I don't really think that she's going to be a playable character. I think she's more of like a puppeteer behind the scenes, manipulating the timeline and getting just some more powerful people to stop Raiden and try to reverse the timeline to whatever place she wants to set it to. But that's just kind of me guessing at this point. Now, since this leak may be real, it made me question if the GameFAQs roster leak that came out shortly afterwards was real as well. If you remember in episode 4, I said that they built a lot of that information off of that email leak. And because I didn't believe that leak at all, that was part of the reason why I didn't believe the full roster leak on the GameFAQs site. But to be honest with you, I still don't really believe that GameFAQs leak. And the reason is because someone asked the GameFAQs leaker what was the point of the battle passives that were mentioned in the Italian GameStop website. And the leaker went on to say that it's kind of an experience boost that unlocks different, unlockable tiers, which doesn't sound too far-fetched. I'm assuming that there may be different, as you progress through the game, you can unlock better and better items. Again, I hope these aren't necessarily related to special moves or attributes or anything like that, but we're going to have to see. But the Steam pre-order premium edition page didn't mention anything of these battle passes or battle packs. It just kind of said that the combat pack was coming with 7 sets of skins and 7 sets of gear. And I'm inclined to believe that that's more accurate than this leak. And because they completely don't mention the battle passes altogether, I don't really suspect that that leak is accurate. But again, we may find that out on the 17th. If the roster is looking similar and there's similar modes and different things line up, then I'll be inclined to believe it. But honestly, at this point, I really don't have a clue what to believe anymore. It's really just speculation. That GameFAQs leak may very well turn out to be accurate. Other leaks that I've discredited in the past may come out to be completely true. I really just don't know what to believe anymore. And that kind of leads me up to what I want to talk about and my PSA. So, if you follow me on Twitter, you probably have an idea where I'm going with this. Over the last few days and even weeks, I've just seen a lot of people that will reply to an NRS tweet or just send a separate message directly to them publicly. And they just will say some stuff that's just outright pretty rude demands and even some accusations that I don't think is completely fair at all to send NRS at this point. And it's just kind of making me sick, honestly. I've seen people demanding stuff like, give me smoke now, or even things like, Jade better be in this game. But I've also seen someone go as far as tweeting at the MK account, calling them a misogynist because they haven't revealed their favorite classic female characters yet. And they don't expect NRS to have more than 10 female characters in the game. This kind of behavior is just outright ridiculous to me. First of all, every single thing within the game is set in stone. Everything's been decided upon, and everything has had hours and hours of work poured into it. So I don't know how some people can feel so entitled to demand a character or really anything this close to launch. Because honestly, individual people's tweets aren't going to make a bit of difference. Everything, again, is set in stone. And I just know that if these demands don't come to pass, that these people are just going to absolutely lose their shit on NRS for not doing exactly what they wanted. Now, I get it. We all have our own favorite characters that we hope will be in the game. But really, that's the thing. We all have our own favorite characters. I can't imagine this roster having more than 40 characters when all of the DLC is said and done. And we could even only see like 20 characters, and that would include guest characters and new characters. Now, I think we will likely have more than that, But to demand or even just simply expect that your character has to be in the game is just shocking to me. Or even demand that there has to be 10 female characters. What if there end up being 100 characters and only 10% of them are women? You're still going to be pissed off with that. So until we find out how many characters are in the game and what the full roster is, I don't think anyone should be losing their shit right now. And honestly, with as little information as we have, to call out MK directly as misogynist is just completely immature. Please just have some patience and some dignity. I get it, we're all hyped for MK11, but just calm down. And don't get me wrong, I would like the roster to have a lot of females in it, but I guarantee you that all of your favorites will not be in the game, and you need to be prepared for that. I asked people on Twitter to give me a list of their top 30 returning characters that they would like to see in MK11. Only 11 people responded, but those 11 people listed 63 different characters. And that was really the point of why I asked, because I was curious. Let's say that there are 30 returning characters, which I think isn't too far from the realm of possibility. How many different characters would people actually want? And there are 63 different of them. We are definitely not going to get that many characters in MK11. And actually, we would need more than that because we would need new and guest characters as well. So I really think you need to be prepared to not have half of the characters that you want in the game. So my piece of advice to you is if you truly love MK and you want to really enjoy MK11, you really need to set some realistic expectations. Sit down and think of the top 5 returning characters that you would like to see. Don't worry about anyone else. Don't worry about the rest of the roster. Just think of the 5 characters that you would like to see. Now, imagine that only 2 of them make it and the other 3 do not. That, I think, is a realistic expectation, and I think you should just be happy that 2 of your favorite characters are in the game. You need to learn to be okay with that, because honestly, people are already pissed off that their favorite characters haven't been revealed yet, and it's only going to get worse every single day leading up to the reveal, every single day leading up to the launch, and every single day leading up to all of the combat packs, and probably afterwards. And trust me, I know this stuff. I'm old enough. I've done this stuff a lot. If you work yourself up over stuff like this now, it just keeps building and building and building. And you create this list of expectations in the game. And then when the game drops and it doesn't have what you expected or wanted the game to be, you're going to be completely disappointed with it. And it's going to ruin your experience. So please, for your own sake, just set realistic expectations. Now, while I'm sure MK11 is a labor of love for NRS, this is also a business, and they are in it to make a profit at the end of the day. They cannot just put every single MK character ever in the game, and they also cannot cater to everybody. They're going to put out the characters that they think will bring in the most sales and make the most sense with the story they are telling. What the fans want, collectively, is part of the equation, but what you or I want specifically is absolutely not. It's truly a hit or miss. There are going to be some hits and there are going to be some misses. Again, please be prepared. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can I, of all people, say this stuff when I have a fucking podcast dedicated to speculating about MK11 and stating what I would maybe like to see in it? I get it, but I want to be clear. There's a huge difference between speculating or even being hopeful and just being outright demanding or having expectations. Yes, I've speculated what characters, modes, and mechanics I'd like to see and what I want, and I've even said I hope the game has a proper online ranking system because I know that will bring me back many and many times over. But I'm not demanding it. I'm not telling NRS this better be in the game or else. I'm pre-ordering the premium edition no matter what. Also, I know I had a roster prediction and wishes episode, but that was really just speculation as to who I think will be in the game and who I would ideally like to see in the game, but I'm not expecting all of those characters to be in it. I know that they won't all be in it. I probably speculated even just more characters that are even allowed to be in it. So yes, if If Cabal or Noob Saibot or Jade isn't an MK11, it's not my ideal scenario, but it's okay. I'm honestly just happy knowing that we're getting a new MK, and so far it looks awesome. And I know NRS. I've put faith in Midway or NRS for the better part of the last 25 years. I know that I can expect something that I will enjoy. So I'm just waiting for them to give me a good game. That's it. I don't want to have these crazy expectations. I know that they know what they're doing. I may not agree with it, but I'm still going to like the game and like it for what it is. It's their game. Because really what the fans want is for NRS to be in control of this and make the game that NRS wants to make. Anyways, now that I got that off my chest, I'm sorry, it's a bit ranty, I know, and I don't want to be a bit ranty, but I just feel like that utterly needs to be said. I just want to talk about the reveal next week and my plans. I'm honestly just going to sit my ass down somewhere quiet where I can catch every moment of it. I'm probably going to spend the next couple of days catching up on, different streams I wasn't able to see and just any kind of footage of the event, the two different events, the LA and the London event that I can see, and try to just gather as much information as I can. And after that, I'll just make an episode that's really just what I thought about what I saw and my feelings about it. I'm not going to do a breakdown on every single item because honestly, I think YouTubers will probably do that best. There's video, this is just audio. So I'm really just going to share my opinion on what I saw, and hopefully you're interested in it. That's it for me for this one. I'm sorry it was a little ranty, but if you have any comments or feedback for anything I discussed, please let me know on Twitter at @plusframes_. You may have also noticed I didn't have any background music in this episode. Honestly, I think I don't really need it now. I think I have a better idea of how to record this cleanly. Hopefully that turns out to be the case when I actually listen to it back. But if you think this episode is lacking without the background music, please let me know and I'll definitely add it in future episodes. And finally, please subscribe or leave a review for the show on Apple Podcasts if you're up for it, and I'll see you next time. Bye.